Okay. I'm tired. I'm tired. It's in the afternoon though. And part of this is due to the weather. It's just been raining and raining and raining and raining and raining. And then it will stop raining. And you're thinking, okay, cool. And the clouds start to part a little bit. And you see a little bit of sun that's trying its best. And then, nope, starts raining again. But that's what happens this time of year. Now, obviously, it's not always like that, but people want you to believe that it always rains here. And that's just not the case, right? Sorry, folk. Need to bring you to me. That's just not always the case. But anyway, you don't really care about them. Maybe you do. I remember there was a time when people would get upset with me because I didn't talk about the weather. You know what I mean? I guess if that's what's important to you, then I guess it's important to you, right? I'm not going to judge, but to me, weather's not enough for me to say I'm not moving someplace. It's just not. But for some people, that's very important. You're not going to get, sunny days 360 days out of the year. You're not going to get that, but you're also not going to get rain 360 days out of the year. You get a lot of those days filled up with rain, but not all of them. But anyway, whatever. This is an Ask HershNoeie. This is Ask HershNoeie, and I have a few that I need to get to, but I'm kind of behind, so I apologize if I haven't gotten to your Ask HershNoeie question. I've had a few people reach out on YouTube as well, and I have to parse through and go through and read through some of those. Sometimes there are good questions that YouTube will block, because if there's certain words in there that it deems, then it's going to block them, because I have blockers because I have haters. I don't have as many haters as other people. Don't get me wrong. I may have a hater once a month, if that, right? But or maybe twice a month. It depends on the videos that come out. But yeah, so I may not get them. That's why it's important to go onto the Discord. I've been trying to get people onto the Discord because of the simple fact I'm able to see your questions right then and there. It's a community all on its own. It's a little different than everything else. To be honest with you, I don't get money. I guess people think he get money off of that Discord. I don't get nothing. Right? It's not about that. I don't want any more money, to be honest with you. The more money you get, the more problems you have. Those are facts. But it's not about that. It's that I'm able to answer questions a lot easier and faster on Discord. So join the Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. This person said, I want to move to Tacoma. My biggest concern is the price, obviously. A lot of people have been saying price is one of the big sticking points, and I agree. Currently, at this point in time, I'm not able to move there for another year at the earliest. My goal is to get there before 2025. That's a big gap. When will it be too late for someone who makes about $80,000 a year and can afford a house that's around $350,000 to $380,000? It's already too late, bro. Like, I'm sorry. I don't mean that in a bad way. But Noelle is looking to refinance the house here. Okay? If she wants to refinance the house and get a little bit lower price, or that we have to pay every month, and the value of the house from the time we bought it in 2017. Yeah. Did we buy it in 2017? I think 2017. It has went up 89%. So from the time we bought it in 2017 up till now, it's went up 89%. I think that's what it said. Okay? That's a big jump. And we're talking a very short period of time. And in fact, it was already up 50% the year after we bought it. Remember, I did a video a long time ago talking about the house value has went up and doubled. It just leaped. And the reason why I was very much pushing Noelle, because we could have taken our time and try to figure, because there's parts of Tacoma I'm discovering pretty much all the time. Like today I discovered a new area of Tacoma that I'm like, this is pretty cool. But we could have taken our time and kind of discovered Tacoma a little bit better and found different areas that would have been, cool, and different houses, different this. We just didn't have the time. And what I mean by that is that we physically had all the time that we could after work and everything like that, and on the weekends to look. But just the sheer interest of people wanting homes, we didn't have enough time to really sit and try to, pick and choose like that. It becomes very hard and becomes very frustrating. If you have, obviously if you have a life outside of everything else, you have to work and do everything else, you're not going to have the time unless you take off to really sit and patrol all these different houses that are available, and then decide if you like it or don't like it, or you don't like this, you like that, or you love this. By the time you do that, things are going to get sold. I remember before we got this house, we were looking at a house, we were on our way, and the realtor had her blinker light on, pointed at that house, and then went the other direction. We were like, where is she going? We went to the other house that was on the list because she said that house right there that she pointed at, prior to us meeting her that day, to our meeting, it was available. And then it showed pending, just like that, popped up pending. There was no point in looking at it, because sometimes people will say, well, a house that's pending, it could come off the market because, or it could come back onto the market because it could be an issue with the inspection, or maybe the financing fell through, or maybe the owners are like, I don't really know. But it's a waste of time if you do that, right? Anything that comes up pending, waste of time. Because by the time you go and you finally find the house that you want and you look at, it's already too late. So I tell people, don't have these champagne dreams, because you're going to be hurting unless you have the money. If you have money, a lot of money, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different in terms of what you're able to do. If you're the average everyday person, then you're going to have to work in some pretty tight parameters. And given that you're making 80 grand a year, which is decent in most places, here that's not, it's not. So it becomes a challenge. And it's not so much about how much you make a year, it's more about how much money do you have to throw up the problem. The house prices you're looking at, we've already done past that. We passed that at the end of last year. So that average, now again, can you find things under that? Sure. You can find stuff all day long. I don't know if you want it, but you can find stuff underneath that. You can find stuff surely above it. But the problem is that we are surging at this point, right? It's surging. To the point even Noelle was like, dang, because just a few days ago I was looking, I always check. You know what I mean? And she was like, dang, in terms of this house value. There was some anomaly in the neighborhood where a house sold for really nothing, like 170 grand, I believe. But we're not sure what happened with that. It could have been an estate sale, I don't know. But everything else, the high threes. You see what I'm saying? Everything else in the high threes, because we are the average. Someone asked the question, what's the average price for homes right now in Tacoma? And it's $430,000. That's the average price for homes in Tacoma right now, is $430,000. Now, next week, that's going to be a different amount. It literally changes that quickly. Now, it may not be a huge drastic change, maybe 435 or 432. But it will definitely change because there's such a high demand. The other thing is that there is this pent up demand for all types of space, from retail space to industrial space, warehouse space to housing. Down here, there's such a crunch. There is a rumor, now if you were on a Discord, you would have seen this, that Tesla is wanting to put a facility down here in Tacoma. Now, I don't know what type of facility. I don't know if it's manufacturing. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But Tesla is one of the rumored groups that are coming to Tacoma, as well as Amazon. Amazon has had like 4 facilities, I think, in this area. And this is just like it's not a, I think it's a logistics hub, is what Amazon's putting down here right on the border of Lakewood and Tacoma. Loads of jobs. What's cool about Tacoma's job market is we have jobs that go all over the spectrum. You know what I mean? Like the average everyday American dude could make it in Tacoma. You see what I'm saying? Like the guy that is willing to, you know, bust his butt all day, he can make it here. You see what I'm saying? In Seattle, not so much. Here, you could. You have a lot of, you know, logistics jobs, truck driving jobs, warehouse jobs. You have tech jobs. You have the whole range here. Medical. It is changing. The city is changing. Those facilities will still be there, no doubt. You're still going to have manufacturing because these big giant companies come in, they build these huge warehouses that are the size of shopping malls and sometimes even bigger, and you have those all over the place. Those aren't going to go anywhere. The people who work there, as long as they buy now or they already have a house now in the city, they're set, right? But the demographics are changing so quickly that now you're starting to see gentrification spread throughout the whole city. It literally, you can see it. I've never been in a place where you can go into a neighborhood and everything kind of looks just bad. And then you see one shiny little building, and then you see another shiny house and another shiny one over there. And then before long, you go back, you know, 6 months later and you have a whole section of nothing but pretty and shiny. Like, that's what happens here. So, to be honest with you, if you're waiting between now and 2025, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to look. Because just in 2022, things are going to be bonkers here. Because there's a lot of things that are going to, for the city, that's going to wrap up and change overall. When we're talking about just these cities' infrastructure. The BRT line will be completed in 2022. The streetcar line, I think, will be completed in 2022. You see what I'm saying? So now, to some people, they're like, big deal. But for companies, that is a big deal. For people who are looking for easy ways in and around the city, that is a big deal. For people who want to live out in Spanaway, which is the hottest market right now in the country, it's the hardest market to get a house because it's so competitive. Spanaway. The BRT line would take people from Spanaway all the way into downtown Tacoma. So the pressure is on for these cities because they're facing something they've never really faced before. Tacoma has never faced this in the last 100 years. You know what I mean? Like, not like this. Now, prior, yeah, it did. It was a boom town. You know what I mean? It was more of a boom town than Seattle was, by far. But now it's starting to resurge again, and it's becoming very much a competitive place. You're seeing businesses that can come here and do very, very well, and they don't have to worry about being up in Seattle. You have a lot of Seattle businesses that are moving to Tacoma because there is a huge demand for this area, right? There's a huge market. You're having a lot of people making that shift. So if you're wanting to come here, I would say do it as soon as you possibly can, because waiting is not going to work. I mean, you're going to end up pushing yourself further and further and further and further out. Like, even Olympia now is becoming very pricey, and it blows people's mind, Olympia. But even Olympia is becoming very pricey. You see what I'm saying? So it is truly, and Olympia is 60 miles from Seattle. But that should give you an idea of how bad it is. It is radiating out. If you look at Seattle and you just radiate out, that's kind of what's happening. North, south, a little bit to the west, because after a while it's water. And then east. It is truly an area that is becoming very, very pricey, very, very fast. There's not one area now that you can point at and say, okay, you know, that's an affordable place. It just isn't like that anymore. You know what I mean? I remember doing videos constantly saying, if you want to buy a house, now's the time to do it in Tacoma. And a lot of people said, yeah, you know, I want to do that. And some people did it. Some people didn't. Some people still were fishing for Seattle, and a lot of them are in a good situation. Some of them are not because they're like, it's just getting denser and denser. Seattle is by no means stopping from growth. That city is still growing very fast. It's not growing as fast as Tacoma. It's not growing as fast as Tacoma. Tacoma is growing much faster. But Seattle is still growing as a city. It's still absorbing people. You see what I'm saying? Tacoma is at a critical point because we have the road infrastructure. Believe it or not, we have the road infrastructure. Do I think that's going to become a problem, a pinching point? Yes, I do. I didn't think that before, but just looking at the volume of cars now, and we're still in the sickness, and you're having traffic issues now that I didn't see 2 years ago. Yeah, even during the sickness, there's traffic points in the city where just even 2 years ago we didn't have that issue. So that lets me know that, yeah, like there's certain things that are going to really be a major problem going forward. We do have a lot of access and auxiliary roads and highways, which are great because it helps push people out and get people in and do whatever they got to do. But in the city, it's going to be a challenge. By far, it's going to be a challenge. The density aspect of the city is starting to become much more of a point too. Much more dense than obviously years past. There are more big projects, supposedly on the horizon. So, yeah, I really and truly think that if you wait the time frame you're saying at 2025, which is 4 years from now, it's not going to be good for you in terms of what you're wanting. I've always suggested best thing to do, and I've had somebody else say that they're getting a studio. Somebody in the Discord today said they're going to get a studio, and this is how much money that they want to pay towards it. And I said, no problem. Like that is a solid deal. You see what I'm saying? Like that, okay, I can see that because the money that they're paying for a studio, you'll find something. You'll find something. It may not be right they wanted to go into stadium. It may or may not be in stadium. I don't know if they've already got a lease signed or not, but there's plenty of places downtown all day long where you can get something like that. A studio, 1 bedroom, not a problem. If you're a single person or if you're a couple, no problem. It becomes more of a problem when you bring in a crew. I call it when you have a family and kids a crew. When you bring in a crew, that's when it becomes an issue, because if you need more than a bedroom, it becomes very expensive to the point of where you're better off renting a house if you can find a house to rent. That's the thing. If you can find a house to rent, that would be the best choice, because renting a 2-bedroom in Tacoma is going to pull your teeth. I'm being honest. It's just going to pull your teeth. Already a 1-bedroom in a studio is going to be just stupid in terms of price point, but that you can kind of work around. There are other places where you can, and again, I tell people, don't go to some place that is the cheapest place in the city. You have some people who will find an apartment and they go on wherever and they find the cheapest apartment they can find. And I would tell you not to do that. I remember someone who used to follow our channel who used to be cool. I would talk to Noelle all the time, and this lady chose the cheapest thing she can find in Lakewood, and she ended up hating it and didn't want to talk to us anymore. And she never asked our opinion of that particular location before she got here. She never mentioned where it was. I've never mentioned Lakewood because I don't know much about it. But she ended up doing that and hated it. You see what I'm saying? Don't go for the cheapest thing because it could be a problem. It could be. I always refer people downtown and then say, after you've lived here for a bit and you can, venture out and you can go different places and you can kind of know the city better, because I already have a house. I'm not going to rent here, right? I don't know what apartments are like outside of downtown, but downtown is fairly safe. right? You're going to have access to a lot of services. I tell people downtown is probably where you would want to choose to live if you're going to rent, because then you're able to finally get to go into other neighborhoods and learn about them. Then you can decide, okay, I'm going to buy a house and such. That's a good move. And I think if you have a year from now, like you get a lease now or in the next few months, you have a year-long lease, yeah, you're probably okay. House prices are still going to suck, but you're okay. But once you start getting out, year and a half, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, the prices here are probably going to be in the $500,000 range at that point, easily. So yeah, right now we're sitting on about 430,000. It's safe to say 2 years from now we're probably going to be right at about 500,000. So if not sooner, it's possible. So I would say definitely if you're going to move here, do it as soon as you can. Some people can't. They have a timeline, obviously. But if you can, move here as quickly as you can. Move downtown, get an apartment downtown. There's a lot of different places you can go. That would be my focus. I would not focus anyplace else. Some people are playing roulette when they're choosing some of these other places. I would be here's one of the things that someone said. I think that they were I forget who they were. I don't know if they were a realtor or what they were, or a newspaper journalist. It used to be that when you heard about stuff that happened around Tacoma, not in Tacoma, but around Tacoma. So if something happened in Parkland, or if it happened in Lakewood, or it happened in Fife, or it happened someplace like that, and there was some sort of criminal element, they would say Tacoma. Such and such got hurt in Tacoma, or this and this happened in Tacoma, and it wasn't Tacoma. So a lot of those places that have been notorious for issues, Tacoma was the place that they blamed, because nobody really knew about these other places, really. Like Parkland, where's that? Like people are like, what's that? Fife, what's that? But they know Tacoma. So a lot of that was reporting and saying that it was Tacoma when it wasn't. Now that's not to say there haven't been issues in Tacoma, there have been. It's not to say that there weren't, but it was a lot of just saying Tacoma, as opposed, just like when the derailment happened. National News was saying that it was Seattle, the derailment right outside of Seattle. Well, DuPont is far from Seattle, far. It made more sense to say it was outside of Tacoma, but people don't know Tacoma as well. So they are going to say outside of Seattle, even though that accident happened more than 40-something miles from Seattle. You see what I'm saying? So here, locally, people don't really pay much attention to some of these other smaller areas. They pay attention to Tacoma. So some of these other areas that you haven't really heard of may not be your best bet either. I can say, and some of the areas ringing around in terms of just downtown Tacoma, I don't know. It's really, you're playing Russian roulette. I don't know. But downtown, what's considered to be the downtown core, you're going to be pretty okay. You're gonna be doing okay. The Dome District, you're gonna be all right. There's some sketch in certain areas, but it's not, as an overall neighborhood, it's not Fright Night. Like downtown, it's not Fright Night. You're still gonna have the random homeless guy that may urinate on the sidewalk, or or something like that. But as far as like having to run to your car and you're scared, that's just not gonna be the case. You see what I'm saying? Other places, I can't really say that. But downtown, you're pretty much going to be all right. Anyhow, hope I answered your question. Best of luck. Make sure you join the Discord. It's going to be down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Until next time, I will see you. Take care.